Report. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel today.
These studies acknowledge me, honestly, put the seat back in the odyssey, prodigy, little mama, wanna suck and to swallow me, watch time. Welcome to the check-in report where the party never ends, does it? Today's topic, we are here to talk about a Brooklyn man who took it upon himself to delete a father and a stepson. I want to welcome you to the check-in report where we talk about news, where we talk about relationships. And today is a very serious topic regarding, living in New York City, whether it be in these urban communities, whether it be in the project buildings like NYCHA. It's time for Black people to get out of these concrete jungles. There are better opportunities. There are better living places in the world for you. Do not be caged up like animals. Do not be packed in like sardines in these concrete jungles, ladies and gentlemen. Now, a lot of people, if you haven't seen the video will be in the description. I will be leaving it there for a period of time, but we're here to talk about this story. A man who was going back and forth and back with a neighbor of his. I'm guessing that these two individuals, these two men, they've been at it for a while. They've been going back and forth for a while over the noise complaints in their living places. I believe one of the individuals live upstairs, another individual lives downstairs, and they have been going back and forth for a while. And just by chance, they had this heated argument, a heated kerfluffle in the hallway of their building. And the father, he proceeds to come outside and to chastise the man who is pretty much going back and forth with him. I heard that the other man kicked on the door and tried to start a dispute with the father, but the father comes outside with a scissors, a pair of scissors. And he's going back and forth with the man, and then the wife of the husband, she comes out, she grabs the scissors from the man, and while the wife grabs the scissors from her husband, he's going back and forth with the wife, right? He's going back and forth with the wife. I'm giving you guys a visual because I can't play the video. We will be playing the news clip, but during the whole argument he's having with his wife, so his attention is going towards his wife at this point. The man pulls out a firearm and proceeds to shoot the father. And the stepson is there, he's watching this whole thing displays. He charges at the man with the firearm. The man shoots the stepson. It's a sad situation. And we're here to talk about this. Black people need to get out of these communities in Doves. We need to stop, living in these conditions. We need to get out of the concrete jungles of America, packed in sardines in project buildings, in urban environments, low-income housing, Section 8. Packed in like a slave ship. We need to get out of these communities. We are living on top of each other. We are having disputes. Crime is running rampant. I heard that this happened in East Flatbush, where they say that this neighborhood is crime riddled. It's crime going on in this neighborhood, and the person that shot the father and the son, he is still at large. It's being reported that he is an ex prison security guard. That's something we have to talk about at some point. But here's a still image of the two individuals that I believe the man's name that shot the father, his name is Jason Pass. His name is Jason Pass of East Flatbush, 47 years old is what I'm hearing. And you know, during this whole live, I just want to know you guys' thoughts. Do black people need to move out of these concrete jungles? You know, we're living on top of each other. Like packed in like sardines in a small tin can. Crime-riddled neighborhoods. You know, where you got youngins ready to pull the firearm out on you for disrespecting them, gang violence, drug activity. It's time for black people to you know, find better living opportunities out there, because believe me, it is out there. It's out there for them. Will everybody be able to go? No. But there are other opportunities. We all don't have to live in the ghettos. We all don't have to live in these, you know, communities where crime is running rampant. We're living on top of each other. We don't have to succumb to that. We don't have to, you know, placate ourselves to that. That's something we're going to be talking about. Now, let me get into this news clip of the whole thing, the whole ordeal that happened. I think it's of critical importance that we talk about this news clip that, you know, did surface in regards to what happened. Let's play it right now.
Police say Jason Pass had enough of the noise and went to confront his neighbor about it. At one point,
Now,
surveillance video shows the
I'm gonna play this video and let you guys, allow you guys to watch it in full. Then I'm gonna give my reaction and we're gonna talk through it. So I'm gonna let you guys watch this video in full. Then we're gonna go through it.
the victim's wife trying to pull him away, but he pulls a pair of scissors. It was no match for a gun. The video is so disturbing, we are stopping it right when Pass allegedly pulls the trigger, killing the 47-year-old father and his 27-year-old son, right in the hallway of a building here in the Flatbush Gardens complex.
I shed tears, because the breadwinner is gone. The next to stand in line is gone. Senselessly. Why?
Paulette James also lives here. She tells us over 15 years, things have changed, with neighbors going from friends to enemies.
To go kill people, kill. You can't think about nothing else. What, just to kill people? Oh my God, that is not nice.
Pix 11 News has learned at least 6 311 calls were made by Pass since 2022, complaining about the noise coming from the upstairs apartment. His sister does not want to show her face on camera, but says it was more than just noise.
I'm just distraught. And it was an ongoing battle with them, of them harassing my family. And the management of where we are here in Flatbush Gardens, they are aware of everything.
Neighbors agree noise and other complaints are not isolated here, but nothing can justify this. Community leaders vow to help tenants deal with the grief and the trauma, also deal with everyday concerns.
We're trying to show tenants here how to deal with issues no matter what, and to keep it away from the emotional selves and more of a responding and not a responsive self.
Meantime, a message to the gunman.
For the person who did this, you need to turn yourself in. That's the best thing you can do for the family.
We also reached out to the victim's family, but they asked us for privacy, and we are respecting that. In the meantime, if you have any information on the whereabouts of Pass, call Crime Stoppers. The number's right there. It's 800-577-TIPS. In East Flatbush.
Okay, so pretty much it's a sad situation what absolutely happened. I mean, you know, you have people that live in these communities, right? These project buildings, these, you know, these low income houses. And, you know, you don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know the criminal aspect of your neighbors, and most people that live in these buildings, they're not on good terms with their neighbors. They're beefing, just like, they said there's noise complaints, there's people playing loud music, there's people stomping around late at night. So it's a lot going on in these communities, on top of the mental illness, on top of the crime, on top of the poverty problem that's happening. And it's a real issue. Now, this is something that could have been de-escalated. But here you have two individuals that were absolutely in the wrong. Both of these individuals were in the wrong. And let's play it back. We're going to walk this thing through. I want to give you guys the opportunity to watch the video, but let's break this thing down first and foremost. So let's get back into it. We're going to play the video one time. Let me break this thing down.
You were witnessing a march of death. Police say Jason Pass had enough of the noise and
now pretty much, let me stop right here, right? Pretty much Jason Pass. This is Jason Pass. This is the man right here that you see on the left with the bald head on the left with the blue jacket. Pretty much he comes upstairs because, this the other man, they're making noise in their apartments. They're making loud noises. I guess they're stomping around. God knows what type of thing is going on. Loud music. Pretty much, he comes upstairs and kicks the door. Right? Now, let me tell you this right off the bat. As a man of the house, right? As a man of the house, as a man that's, paying the bills, a man that's doing everything that you need to be doing, it is your responsibility to protect the women, the children that are in the home. And sometimes that means checking your ego. Everything doesn't need to be escalated. Every single time something happens, it doesn't need to be escalated. Your duty first and foremost is to protect the women and the children that you're living with. And I believe, it's my opinion, that his ego got to him. And he decided today was going to be the day that I escalate this. He came outside with a pair of scissors, intimidating Jason Pass. Let's continue.
to confront his neighbor about it.
You see him holding a pair of scissors, and this is his wife or his girlfriend or whatever coming out to pretty much, I guess maybe to try to stop him or to talk to him, to pretty much calm him down, those situation. So she's, running to him and try to grab the scissors, because, in essence of this whole thing, it's really two individuals, in not having their egos in check. It's two individuals that are, I'm gonna say it, anybody that watch Boondocks, two individuals that are having a nigga moment. And this is when a nigga moment goes left. This is when a nigga moment goes off the cuff. And this is what's happening in the New York City ghettos. This is what's happening in the ghettos around America. Black men not having their egos in check, not knowing when not to escalate something, not knowing when to relax, calm down. Learn to work with your neighbors. Get out of these low-income project buildings, these crime-riddled neighborhoods. That's when things like this happen. Let's continue with this video.
At one point, surveillance video shows the victim's wife trying to.
Now you see the victim's wife. She tries to come out and grab the scissors out of his hand because I'm guessing she's thinking that, you're being ridiculous right now. You're running out here with these scissors, chastising this man. She's realizing that, he's wilding out. You need to relax. The fact that he came out with the scissors, let's be honest, man. The saying goes, I'm gonna be honest with you. The saying goes, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Don't bring don't bring a weapon outside. Don't bring something like that. Salute to Sinclair. I see you checked this. Salute to Sinclair. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight. And ultimately, that's what Jason Pass did, and ultimately, he lost his life. But let's continue to critique what happened that night.
Pull him away, but he pulls a pair of scissors. It was no match for a gun. The video is so disturbing, we are...
Now, see, he's going back and forth with his wife. He's going forth and back and forth with his wife. He's arguing with his wife. He tries to intimidate this man with a pair of scissors. And look what this man does.
Stopping it right when Pass...
He pulls out a firearm, right? And let me tell you something. Anybody, I'm going to say it again. Anybody that watch Boondocks, this is a prime example of a nigga moment. Two black men that don't know how to de-escalate a situation. Two black men that are out of control. They don't know how to check their egos. They don't know how to work. You're supposed to work with each other, especially when you're living in these low-income Section 8 NYCHA buildings, these project buildings, when you're packed in like sardines. You need to work with each other. You need to know how to, talk to each other. But this is a nigga moment going absolutely off the cuff. The man pulls out a firearm.
allegedly pulls the trigger, killing the 47-year-old father.
So he shoots the father point blank while his back is turned. You can see that his back is turned. He shoots him point blank range, shoots him. His son, his stepson, charges at the man with the firearm, right? He winds up shooting the son as well. This is what happens when you live in these project buildings, these concrete jungles of America, when you're packed in like sardines. And it is my opinion that black people need to get away from these crime-riddled neighborhoods. These project buildings, these neighborhoods that are, that are disenfranchised. Get out of them. If you have the opportunity to pack up with you and your family, or whether you're living by yourself, you need to get out, because you're one nigga moment away from this happening. To somebody escalating, I'm just being reasonable. Because you can try to work with your neighbor, you can try to talk to people calmly, but sometimes tempers flare, people go off the cuff, people run off of their emotions, and things happen. And this is an absolute reason of that happening. A nigga moment happening in real time, ladies and gentlemen. Sinclair says, what happened to quit and live another day? I agree. But far and few are those days. You have people running to get the ratchet, running to get the gun, running to escalate. Now, keep in mind, both of them escalated this whole situation. Because, right now, Jason Pass, the man with the firearm, he is at large. The NYPD is currently looking for this man. He is on the run. But in all honesty, both of them are guilty of escalating this situation. The victim came outside with a pair of scissors. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what was running through his mind, but that was absolutely a bad idea. They go back and forth. The wife comes out. She snatches the scissors. He's arguing with the wife. The man grabs his gun and shoots the man while his back is turned. And ultimately the son charges and he gets shot. So ultimately you have two people that perished that night over a noise complaint. The man came up there because, there was a noise complaint. There's people stumping. I guess there's loud music going on. All of this could have been de-escalated. But these are two black men that couldn't put their egos in check. Let's continue.
And his 27-year-old son, right in the hallway of a building here in the Flatbush Gardens complex.
I shed tears because the breadwinner is gone. The next to stand in line is gone. Senselessly. Why?
Paulette James also lives here. She tells us over 15 years, things have changed, with neighbors going from friends.
I'm gonna tell you right now, things haven't changed. These communities, respectfully, they've been crime ridden. They've been gang infested. They've been drug infested. Debauchery, nonsense, people staying up late night playing loud music, people stomping all over the place. This is a NYCHA building, I believe. And we have to be honest here. These communities where a lot of black people live, a lot of people that live in New York City, these project buildings, these NYCHA buildings, they live on top of each other. Where things are just, I'm just going to be honest with you. Things are going to happen when you live on top of each other. People are not meant to live in project buildings. Living, in these cheap buildings with paper thin walls, right? With appliances that don't work. Like, this is not a way for us black people to live. We need to move away from these poverty-stricken communities, right? Get out of the project buildings. Get out of these cheap, crime-ridden communities where because listen, times are only going to get harder. The price of food is going up. Gas prices is going up. Rent is going up. The price of living is going up. People need to move away from these communities. That's just my opinion. Yeah, Sinclair says stacks and packs are the worst. I agree. You talk about is that a candle with a price tag still on it? Yeah, I'm guessing that, in that clip, I'm guessing that's his family. His family wanted to honor him. I guess so they wanted to put, a couple candles. I'm not sure. But, I guess, each his own. They wanted to, honor their father or honor the person that they lost. I know, hey, I understand.
To enemies.
To go kill people.
And another thing that I have to comment on in terms of this whole situation, keep in mind, these are two individuals that were at it for a very long time. This wasn't the first instance. You can tell by their little diatribe in the hallway that this had been brewing for a very long time. This wasn't their first occurrence. For a man to go in his house and come out, he came out on 10. He came out ready for the smoke, ready for the beef. He came out with a pair of construction scissors, I'm guessing to threaten to stab the man, threatening to, to cause harm to him. And as soon as the man turned his back, he shot him, point blank range in his back.
People kill. You can't think about nothing else. But just to kill people? Oh my God, that is not nice.
And another sad realization, because you see this elder black woman talking about the community. She said that the community has changed and stuff like that. What saddens me about this situation is you have people living in these crime-ridden, poverty-stricken project buildings, living in them for generations. I mean, literally, grandmother passing down her project apartment to her daughter growing up and passing down her project apartment to her son passing down her project apartment to his daughter. Like generations of people living in these poverty-stricken communities. It's time to leave. It's time for a better life, a better opportunity. Stop raising your kids in these concrete jungles. When you live in these communities, when you live in these NYCHA buildings, and a lot of there's like, there's a demographic of people that are proud. They're like proud to tell people, oh, I live in NYCHA. I live in a NYCHA building. I live in a New York City project building. When you're dealing with rats, you're dealing with roaches, you're dealing with, piss in the elevators, you're dealing with drug activity, people nodding off, drug addicts in the hallway, prostitution, crime, gang violence, all of these things bringing down your community. All of these things happening in your community, and you're proud to live there. You're proud to be, living amongst the rats and the roaches. You're proud to be receiving a slug through your window. You're proud to be living in a community where they're playing loud music 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. You're proud of that? You're proud of walking outside of your building and the first thing, 6 in the morning, walking outside your project building, you see a crackhead nodding off in your hallway with the weed smells in your lobby. This is what people are proud of. They're proud to live in these communities. It's time to get away from that narrative. It's time to get away from that. Let's continue.
Hicks 11 News has learned at least 6 311 calls were made by past.
Sinclair says, I've never understood why they don't offer meditation for crowded living conditions. I agree. They should give a lot of these people that, live in these communities some type of, release, some type of therapy, some type of, alternative to combat the violence in the community, to combat what's going on in the community, the drugs, the violence, the nonsense that goes on in the community. There should be some type of outlet, some type of therapy, some type of, I agree, like some type of meditation, like you're saying. I agree.
Since 2022, complaining about the noise coming from the upstairs apartment. His sister does not want to show her face on camera, but says it was more than just noise.
And I kind of agree with the sister. These two have been going at it. You can tell that these two had an issue for a very, very long time. It wasn't this one day and this one occurrence that, happened to bring this thing up. They had been going at it for a while. Just the fact that he came outside with a pair of scissors, that tells you that he was ready. He was ready to do some type of damage to this man. So these two have been going at it. Sinclair says, growing up, I knew which kids were apartment kids versus which kids, had backyards. I agree. I agree too. I kind of knew that too. I grew up in the suburbs of Long Island, and, there definitely was that, element of project kids and kids that grew up in bad neighborhoods. I grew up, I had a front yard, I had a backyard, I had a swing set in my backyard. I had a basketball court and a swing set in my backyard, and when I got around kids that were less, privileged, that didn't, have the type of opportunities that I did, they were more bad. They were more angrier. They were more, ready to, to lash out. Shout out to Nelly. I see you when I see you checked in. Shout out to you. But I realized the difference. There was a difference to kids that, had a really, a good nurtured life. I lived in a house with a front yard, backyard. I got a brand new bike every year almost. I had a privileged childhood opposed to a lot of kids that didn't have that. So, you could see the difference in a lot of these kids. A lot of these kids, they were more angrier. They were more, ready to escalate things. It is a condition. It is.
I'm just distraught. And it was an ongoing battle with them, of them harassing my family. and the management of where we are here in Flatbush Gardens.
So this is the victim's sister. Or actually, no, this is the wait, let me actually go back. Hold on. I'm not sure if this is the sister of the victim or the sister of the shooter.
Was more than just noise.
I'm just distraught. And it was an ongoing battle with them.
Let me run that back.
His sister does not want to show her face on camera, but
Yeah, which
news
sister?
has learned at least 6 311 calls were made by Pass since 2022, complaining about the noise coming from the upstairs apartment. His sister does not want
Okay,
to
so this is the shooter's sister. Okay.
show her face on camera, but says it was more than just noise.
I'm just distraught. And it was an ongoing battle with them of them harassing my family. And the man.
See, she's letting it be known that ultimately this had been going on for a very long time. These two were at each other's throats for a long time, and that's what happens when you live in these types of communities. Because you got to think, like, these people live in these paper thin apartments because I've been in these buildings. I've been in a lot of project buildings in my life. I've been in Queensbridge. I've been in Soundview Project in the Bronx. I've been in a couple. I think I've been in pink houses in Brooklyn a couple times. I've been in a couple of these project buildings, and I'm gonna tell you right now, the walls in these buildings are paper thin. Paper thin. You can hear a squirrel fart in these project buildings and a lot of these New York apartment buildings. And I could see how a noise complaint can happen. I can see how somebody stumping around, somebody playing loud music, somebody probably coughing, or somebody probably had some flatulence, and somebody getting mad at that. So ultimately, the man lives downstairs and the person that he confronted lived upstairs. So I could see them having some type of smoke for each other, and I'm sure that it was going on for probably weeks, months, because a lot of these people are living on top of one another like sardines. And people, they're living in this community. It's poverty stricken, it's gang violence, on top of people having mental illness. It's a sad and it's a bad situation.
Management of where we are here in Flatbush Gardens, they are aware of everything.
Neighbors agree noise and other complaints are not isolated here, but nothing can justify this.
So even the people in the community, they're admitting that, there is, a lot of noise, there's a lot of things happening, like I'm sure the building is old, the walls are paper thin, so people are hearing these things. I'm sure this probably wasn't the only pair of neighbors that were going at each other's throats. Thank God it didn't escalate to this, but I'm sure that there are other people that are living in this building that are dealing with the same thing.
Community leaders vow to help tenants deal with the grief and the trauma, also deal with everyday concerns.
No, Nelly, I am not a New York City guy. I am a Long Island guy through and through. I am a Long Island guy, I grew up in Long Island, born and raised. I was born in Rockville Center on Long Island, New York. I've never been to a New York City public school. Thank God. I grew up with a backyard, a front yard, brand new bikes every year. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I thank God for my mother and my father. They gave me a privileged childhood. I thank God that I didn't get raised, because my mother, she's from the Bronx. My mother's from the Bronx. My father's from upstate New York, right? And I really have to thank them for giving me a privileged childhood. I didn't grow up in a bad neighborhood. I didn't grow up in, a crime-ridden neighborhood. I didn't grow up, seeing crackheads and people playing loud music late at night. And, I didn't grow up with this, aspect. And, a part of me really feels for the kids that lives in these communities that are subjected to this. Kids that are subjected to seeing crackheads and crack fiends in a project lobby. You know, kids that are being subjected to, you know, gang violence. You know, I remember that one video that happened in New York City where it was a man trying to shoot another man, right? And he's running from this man trying to shoot him. And, you know, in the midst of him trying to run away from this man trying to shoot him, he actually bumps into two kids, ladies and gentlemen, that, you know, are trying to go to the store. So he bumps into them. He falls to the floor. And the man that is trying to shoot him proceeds to shoot him on the floor while he's, you know, on top of these children. You know, I feel for a lot of these kids that live in these communities. I really do, because, you know, it's a sad situation, because my childhood wasn't like this. I didn't grow up seeing people, you know, bust off the ratchet or, you know, just over a noise complaint. And I thank God for my mother and father for giving me a privileged, you know, a background in a suburban neighborhood. But let's continue.
We're trying to show tenants here how to deal with issues no matter what, and to keep it away from the emotional selves and more.
Nah, Nelly, I'm from I live in Nassau County, Long Island. I'll just leave it at that. I don't live in the Hamptons. The Hamptons is in Suffolk County. I live in Nassau, Long Island, the Nassau County part of Long Island. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Of responding and not a responsive self.
Meantime, a message to the gunman.
For the person who did
Yeah, if anybody's in here, shout out to Nelly. Anybody that's in here, make sure y'all smash the like button. Make sure y'all up this video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel as well.
this, you need to turn yourself in. That's the best thing you can do for the family.
We also reached out to the victim's family, but they asked us for privacy, and we are respecting that. In the meantime, if you have any information on the whereabouts of Pass, call Crime Stoppers. The number's right there. It's 800-577-TIPS. In East Flatbush, Nicole Johnson, Pix 11 News.
It's a sad situation, you know, and I want to get into this man, Mr. Jason Pass, right? His name is Mr. Jason Pass. And I just found out not so long ago, I didn't know this beforehand, but it's being reported that the man is an ex-prison guard. Excuse me. He's claiming self-defense, and the man is an ex-prison guard. Now, these, you know, a lot of these, they say, you know what they say about these prison guards? A lot of them are crooked. A lot of them, you know, are, you know, let me tell you something about prison guards, right? Not only are they some of the most dirtiest law enforcement people, I'm gonna be honest, they're some of the most dirtiest law enforcement people, but they deal with a lot of harassment. They deal with a lot of harassment, man, because you got to think, somebody that works in prison, you know, they're dealing with a bunch of, you know, hardened criminals, career criminals, and they're around these people all day long. And you have to ask yourself, when it comes to a lot of these, you know, prison guards, you know, who's really in prison? Yeah, he gets to go home to his family, have a dinner, you know, he gets to go on vacation. Yeah, that's fine and dandy. But for that 7 hours a day, that 8 hours a day, that overtime shift where you're doing 10 hours, you are technically in prison. And a lot of them are harassed. You know, a lot of them get beat up. They get smacked around. A lot of them, you know, they have temper tantrums where they wild out on a prisoner. They beat them up. They hit them over the head with a baton. They do all types of things. You know, you hear about the stories how the prison guards, they might get, you know, piss and, you know, excrement thrown on them. That happens. So a lot of these prison guards, he's an ex-prison guard, you know, they have a lot of bent up aggression. They're already on 10. And I believe that may have, you know, added to the whole situation that had happened. But ultimately, these are just two black men that didn't make the right choice. These are two black men that didn't learn how to de-escalate de-escalate. You have to learn how to de-escalate. Everything doesn't require you to be on 10. Sometimes you have to learn how to assess a situation. You got to think, you live in a poverty-stricken community. You guys are living on top of each other like slaves on a slave ship. Honestly, that's what it's comparable to. That's what a project building is comparable to. Anybody that's ever seen the pictures of the slave ships where they had black men and black women packed on top of each other, row by row, section by section, living on top of each other, dealing with each other's excrement and each other's, bodily fluid, sweat, living on the top of each other, all types of rats and infestations inside of people with diseases, all stacked on the top of each other. That's what a project building ultimately is. And you're dealing with people's mental illness. You're dealing with people's problems, people's issues, on top of the poverty and the crime that is happening around that community. And ultimately, like I said, these are two black men that didn't know how to de-escalate a situation. Everything in every situation, sometimes you have to, let me just say this. Sometimes you have to know when to, like what you just said, Nelly, you're right. No emotional self-control. I agree. No emotional self-control whatsoever. You have to know when to go to that next level and when not to go to that next level. Every situation doesn't require you to, fight someone, to stab someone, to, grab a firearm. You have to know when to hold them and when to fold them. I have to say it. The man came outside on 10 with a pair of scissors, threatening the man. When you come out with a pair of scissors, you're threatening. I'm guessing he was threatening to stab him or to poke him. If not, that was a bad idea off the rip. When two men are talking to each other, all men have that, idea that, listen, all it takes is the wrong word. All it takes is the wrong saying. All it takes is you saying something that I don't like, and it could go left. And both of these men were full aware of that, but they decided to go left on each other. And now you have two men that are dead. Two men that are deleted from the world entirely. And an overly emotional man that is on the run. And ultimately he's going to be found. He's going to be found. It's a matter of time before this man gets arrested. But, we have to talk about how we can de-escalate situations, living in these communities. In my opinion, I don't know if any of y'all watch Hassan Campbell. I have my issues with Hassan Campbell, but he does preach that when you get some money, when you get the opportunity, get out of the hood. And I agree entirely. You got to get out of the hood. You have generations and generations of families that are still in the hood. Why are you still there? The goal should be to get out. The goal should be to, have that nice house, to have that, opportunity, move down south. Maybe you find a nice house down south. Maybe you find a nice apartment complex down south. Maybe you find a nice living arrangement somewhere else. Get out of these urban concrete jungle communities that are, attributing nothing to your life. You're raising kids in these communities. They're walking outside into the lobbies with crack addicts and gang violence. Your baby's walking home from school, drive-by shootings going down. It's time to wake up. It's time to move out of these communities, because there is a small sector of people that, They're proud. They're proud to be from these communities. There's people that are proud to say, oh, I'm from this project. I've been in this project. I'm in the projects all day. Get out of there. Why are you still there? The goal should be to get out. Sinclair says, I learned early, sometimes you lose and it's okay. A sincere apology goes a long way. I agree. You know, you have to know how to de-escalate a situation. Sometimes you have to apologize. Sometimes you have to be the better man. Sometimes you have to understand. You have to assess the situation. You have to, you know, when you find yourself in these types of situations. Let's put ourselves in this situation for just a small second right here, right? When you find yourself in situations with people that are belligerent, out of control, right? Ready to escalate a situation, ready to go forward with a violent tip. You have to assess the situation and realize that I'm a father. This man was a father, right? This man was a father. This man was a bus driver and an Uber driver. He was a provider for his family. You have to realize, am I willing to throw my life away for this person? Am I willing to die, perish for this person that's probably a dusty, he's probably unemployed, right? He's probably, you know, some niggaboo, you know, ragamuffin, lowlife, alcoholic, drug addict. Am I willing to throw my life away? Whether it be prison, whether it be me, you know, succumbing to getting stabbed or being shot. Am I willing to throw my life away for this person? Because I'm going to tell you right here and right now, 9 times out of 10, it's not worth it. 9 times out of 10, it's not worth throwing your life away. Why? Especially when you live in these types of communities where you know can go down. You know somebody will be quick to pull out a gun. Somebody will be quick to grab a knife. Somebody will be quick to call up, you know, their cousin and they'll confront you with a firearm or something like that. You know, what you should be trying to do when you live in these communities or you're subjected to live in these types of communities, you should be working to get out. You need to get out. Because this is not a way to live. This is not a way to survive. Generations of kids growing up in these communities, having to deal with this as a kid. It's crazy. It's crazy. Sinclair says false pride is dangerous. I agree entirely. I agree entirely. You know, people, you know, they say, you know, pride is the first downfall. You know, a lot of people, they're just too prideful. You know, a lot of people, they don't want to take the L. And it's not just men, it's women too. A lot of women, they don't want to take the L sometimes. You know, you see women in a club or you see women at a function and some girl, you know, gives them the side eye or some girl throws a drink on them, or, you know, we see it in the black neighborhoods, you know. Some girl talked about another girl on social media. They're ready to fight each other. They're ready to grab each other's weaves, pluck out the nails. They're at each other's throats. Oh, you had sex with my man. You know, that's common in the black neighborhood. Sometimes you have to walk away and be the better person. It's not, you know, every fight isn't worth fighting. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't defend yourself. You should defend yourself. If somebody is trying to harm you, if someone is trying to hurt you, if someone is, you know, an immediate threat. And that's the whole thing here. This man wasn't an immediate threat, right? He kicked his neighbor's door, right? He kicked the door, boom, right? He was in the hallway arguing. The man chose to come outside of his house with a pair of scissors. So you have two men escalating the whole thing. The man should have, what the smart thing would have been to do when the man kicked his door and was arguing with him, you know what the smart thing would have been to do? Call the police. Call the police. Stop feeling so prideful that, oh, I'm a man, I can't call the police. Oh, I'm black and I'm black and I listen to rap music. I can't be a snitch. Call the police. If you're a taxpayer, you work a 9 to 5, call the police. Let the police deal with the nigga boo. Let the police deal with the drug addict. The person that's ready to throw their life away and go to jail for the rest of their life. Let the police deal with them. Every battle ain't worth fighting. Because you find yourself in these bad situations where you can take a L. You can get shot in a project hallway. You can get stabbed in a project hallway. And ultimately, now that wife has lost a husband. She's lost a son as well. Because don't forget, the father and the son died. Because, this whole nigger moment got escalated. Two men decided to just, go off on one another. One coming out with a pair of scissors, another one with a firearm in his waistband. And ultimately, one man is on the run and two people are no longer here. And it's a sad, sad situation. It's very sad. Nelly says it's ridiculous at this point. Several generations is too much. I agree. It really is sad, man. I have a few family members. I'm not gonna call them out, but I have a few. Like one of my great aunts, my grandmother's sister. She's still living in a project building. This woman has lived, her whole life ultimately in a project building, and it's sad to see. I don't want my grandmother's sister living in a project building. I want my grandmother's sister living in a nice house in a nice community. My grandmother's sister is still living in a project building, sadly. It's no reason, people shouldn't be living in these conditions, packed on one another, packed in like sardines. And a lot of people live like that, where it's generations to generations, living in these crime infested, poverty stricken project buildings. Just passing down these ghetto high rise. That's what they call it, the ghetto high rise. Passing down the ghetto high rise. Get out of these communities. These are not safe places to raise your children. These are not safe places to start a family. These are not safe places to retire in. These are not safe places. So I'm calling for people to get out of these places. If you have the money, now I understand everybody don't have the money to pack up and leave. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of people don't have a savings. A lot of people don't have, they probably can't afford to live in another place at the moment. But the goal should be to get out. The goal should be to leave. The goal should be to find better living opportunities instead of to be packed in like sardines, living on the top of one another. It's a sad situation. And the man Jason Lee, well, not Jason Lee, his name is Jason Pass, actually. He's on the run. His sister is claiming self-defense. I mean, honestly, if you guys want to see the video, it is in the description. I will warn you right now, it is graphic, but if you guys want to see the video, I will leave it in my description for a small time being. I won't leave it in there for too long because I don't want to get in trouble for having it in there. But the video is in there. It's on Twitter right now. So if you want to watch the video, it's very gruesome and it's very graphic. But ultimately, yeah, I'm letting you know right now, it's very graphic. It's very graphic. It's sad. It's honestly sad, man. Like, honestly. Like, the man, and I'm gonna say this one thing. I probably shouldn't say this, but in the video, right? Let me put this up right here, the still shot of it in the video. So, you pretty much saw what happened. He came out with the scissor. He turned to his back when he was yelling at his wife, and the man ultimately shot him. He actually shoots his stepson, and after he shoots his stepson, he actually walks to the man again, and he shoots him again. So it was very gruesome. It was very gruesome. I can't play the video, of course. Can't play it on YouTube. I mean, that's just it's too crazy to play on YouTube. But I'll let you guys watch it. It's in the description if you want to see it. But ultimately, we have to move out of these communities. It's time for Black people to get out of the hood mentality, because a lot of Black people, they really glamorize the hood, glamorize the ghetto, glamorize the projects, glamorize these communities. And it's why do we glamorize these places that are just detrimental to us? Like, let me put this picture up. I did save it in here. Let me put it up. Let me put this picture up real quick. Buildings like this. Look at this building. There's people living like this, rat packed. It's almost like anybody, if you ever seen like one of those mice mazes, you put like a mice in a maze. It looks like that. And ultimately, you got people, crack fiends in the hallways. Oh man, don't get me started on the pissy elevators. Oh, the pissy elevators. Oh, I could do a whole live on New York City project buildings and the pissy hallways, ladies and gentlemen. I could do a whole live on that one. But and I seen it on live too. You have people that are championing living in like NYCHA buildings, championing like living in these terrible communities that don't serve them. You're walking outside. There's a shootout going on. You're walking outside. There's people nodding off of whatever drug they have taken for the moment. Your kids ain't safe. There's people with all type of mental illness. People sick in the head. Criminals on every block. And people are championing living there. They love living there. I agree. It looks like it does look like a prison. It looks like a prison. It looks like just a desolate place to live. But people love living there. People love, I'm in the projects. I love the project. I'm in the hood. I remember when I was coming up, when I was a young kid, right? Now keep in mind, I was a kid from Long Island, right? I was a kid from Long Island, suburbs, right? And I never forget the girls that I grew up with from Long Island. They were in love. They were in love with the project dudes that lived in the city. They would literally take a train out there, right? To go meet these dusties in the projects. Honestly, keep in mind, a Long Island girl, a girl from Long Island, a lot of these girls, I grew up with them. A lot of these girls, they grew up in a nice house with a backyard, a front yard. They had a mother and father. They worked hard. They got them everything they wanted. They still would take a bus or a train to go meet up with some Project Dusty and get slaughtered out. That's what a lot of Long Island girls used to do. Well, you know, I'm calling it out right now. And I ain't gonna front. We had a lot of girls that was from the city come out to Long Island too. I ain't gonna lie. But at least when they came out here, when, like, you know, girls from the city, girls from like Brooklyn and Queens, Staten Island, you know, girls from like the Bronx, when they came out here, I'm gonna be honest with you, they didn't want to leave. Cause they saw how we was living. They was like, "What?" It's first they tried to play us like, "Oh, it's corny out here. Oh, it's whack out here." First they would play, but then when they started to like, "Oh, it's kind of chill out here. Oh, it's like there's no shootouts. there's no crack fiends nodding off in the hallway. Y'all don't got a project building out here." When they saw that, they didn't want to leave. They didn't want to go back to the Project Dusties. They didn't want to go back there. But, you know, we have this thing in the black community where we idolize, where we glamorize the hood, the projects, the ghetto. And we need to get away from that narrative. It doesn't serve us. We need black, beautiful, fluent, economical communities that are strong. We don't need to be living on top of each other like rats, roaches. That's another thing now I didn't even get into, the whole infestation in the project buildings. You know, it's always, you know, I don't know if any of y'all have ever been to New York City or if you've seen the city. There's rats everywhere. There's rats everywhere. Everywhere you turn, there's a rat. There's a rat here, there's a rat there. And they're big too. They're not small little mice. They're rats. They're big. Like, I don't know if you ever seen the Ninja Turtles. That's what the rats look like in New York City. They look like Master Splinter. Master Splinter from Ninja Turtles. That's what they look like. And people live in these communities and they're proud to say that they live there. They're proud to say, I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Pink Houses. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Marcy. I'm from Queens. I live in Queensbridge. There's people that are proud. I'm from the 90s. There's people that are proud to live in these places. The Bronx Projects, Soundview Projects. There's people that are proud to live there. You know, there's like a badge of honor. And I have to say, why? Why are you proud to live there? Poverty, gang violence. Why are we subjecting ourselves to this type of living standards? We deserve better as a people. We deserve better as a community to live in a black community with, you know, that is affluent, that doesn't have crime, that doesn't have gang violence, that doesn't have, you know, drug activity, people nodding off in the hallways. Black people deserve to live better, to live in communities where it's safe, where your son, your daughter could walk the streets and not have to deal with a slug racing past their head. I want that for the black community, to live in a community where you don't have to deal with crime, people shooting broad daylight, people playing loud music until, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning. We don't have to live like that. We don't have to subject ourselves to that. There's better opportunities out there. There's better situations out there for us. All we have to do is grasp it. But ultimately, that's what I wanted to talk about this thing. This whole situation is sad. It's all just a nigga moment by two emotional black men that didn't know how to de-escalate a situation. And ultimately, 2 lives are lost and a man is on the run. And let's be honest, Jason Pass, that's the name of the man that shot these 2 people. He's going to go to jail for the rest of his life. And it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy how this story is coming full circle for him. Like, here you have a man that was an ex-prison guard, right? He lives in this community. He goes back and forth with his neighbor. They're arguing. You know, this whole situation escalated. He shot 2 people. These 2 people are gone forever, and now he may be going to a prison where he used to work. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I want to thank you guys for joining me. I want to thank you guys for coming out. I want to shout out to Nelly. I want to shout out to Sinclair for joining me on this stream. Shout out to anybody watching this on the rebroadcast, or whether you're in the clouds. Shout out to you. I want you guys to have a good, blessed night. This is the Check-In Report. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We out here. I'll see you guys on another stream. We out of here, y'all.
Welcome to the Check-In Report. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel today.